everyone. I wanted to welcome you to our Google Hangout tonight. I have some amazing people to talk to and interview, and hopefully I'll ask them some questions that you would like to ask them as well. My name is Andrea Mitchell. I'm a Diamond Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide. All that means is that I have enough amazing people on my team and that pushed me up to the top, and I became a Diamond. But what we're talking to tonight are some Emeralds. Emerald is a jewel in our company. So Emerald, Sapphire, and Diamond are our top 3 levels. We're all going to Hawaii in just a few weeks. The girls are already picking out their Lexuses. I think some of them have already even gotten them. And there are even more, presents coming for them. They're so excited. And they probably all received flowers from our company. Our company does it up big for these top 3 levels. And I'm going to interview them, just a few questions. I want you to get to know them just a little bit better. And really what I want is I want you to listen. Listen to their stories, listen to their hearts, listen to them talk about why they got to where they are and what they did, what they didn't do, and maybe just a little bit about how they can identify with you. So the whole goal of tonight is finding just a nugget of information, of activity, of mind switch that makes you think, I could be there too. Next year, 2018, I'm going to Hawaii or Kona or Maui, wherever it is our company decides to send us next year. I'm going on Emerald Extravaganza. Or maybe I'm going on Destination Diamond and Emerald Extravaganza. 2 trips that our company loves to do. And they back them up right next to each other. And it's an incredible time. So we are going to start tonight with Kelly Godwin. I am so excited. Okay, so Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get started with the interview.
My name is Kelly Godwin. I live in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama. I have been with Plexus for 1 year and 5 months, I think now. It's interesting how I kind of fell into this. I didn't fall into it. I mean, I watched, a lot of my friends have been hugely successful with Plexus. And I sat on the sidelines and watched for a very long time, thinking, first of all, they'd all fallen and bumped their heads and something had happened because they had just fallen into what I was convinced was a scam. And then I started to watch them, and they built my belief. I trusted these girls whose team I'm on, and I wanted what they had, but I was really scared. I was scared of what it meant about putting myself out there. I was scared of rejection. I was scared of success. I was scared of failure. I was scared of a lot of things. But I contacted Rebecca Warren Williams, and I said, I'm interested, I think. And then it took me 8 months to order, 8 months, because I was still scared. I didn't know I was interested in the business. I was a prosecutor. I had been for 8.5 years and loved what I did, but I was also pulled on every end. My husband is gone 9 months a year. He's a pro baseball coach. He leaves in February and comes home in October. I traveled 80% of the week, working 60 to 80-hour weeks every week, and I had a newborn baby. So here I was not knowing that I needed a plan B, but God knew that I needed a plan B. And so I told Rebecca and my upline, Lindsay, I said, listen, I will do what you tell me to do for 1 year, and then I'm going to quit because I'm going to hate it. I will be terrible at this, but I'm going to do what you tell me to do. And so quickly after becoming silver, I gained the vision for what Plexus is and what it can become and what it could do for my life. So it's a little bit of our story.
I love it. I have already tears just thinking about the fact that God knows exactly what the timing is, and we all think, oh, if I had only done it here, and the timing is so perfect. And because you are the fastest on the team and called tonight to do Emerald, I want to ask, what do you think is an activity that you did in that year and 5 months that switched you from, I don't think this is going to work in a year, to not only is it going to work, but I'm going to go to the top in a less than a year and a half? What do you think you did on a daily basis that switched that for you?
Well, I do have activity I want to tell you about that I did, but I want to tell you the first was a mindset for me, and that was going all in. I said, I'm doing this. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it big. And even when I didn't know I didn't know what it meant to go all in. I just said, I am going to be coachable, and I'm going to do what my uplines tell me to do, what they suggest, because they've been successful. So what I have really done that I think has separated my business is I am religious about following up. I mean, I am religious about it. I don't let people go. A lot of times I'll tell people when they laugh at me about following up, I say, heck, it's easier to follow up with somebody than to breathe new life into someone else. Like, you've already made contact with these people. I have people who have signed up that I have talked to for 1 year. I had one girl sign up in May who signed up exactly 1 year after I started a conversation with her. And y'all, I followed up with her when she gave me crickets 95% of the time. But I try to be very thoughtful in the way that I follow up with people, and I try not to make it awkward for them. I make myself a joke a lot of times, and I just make it lighthearted, because I say, here I am, I'm still thinking about you. I still want you to, to try these products, because I know that these will change your life. I am, like I said, religious about following up with people. I think it is the key, and it is what makes a lot of people not find success, because it's easy to send one message perhaps, but it's harder when you get rejection, what you perceive as rejection or crickets, or when someone says no. When someone says no to me, I view it as an opportunity. I do. I'll say, I'm coming back to you in a month, because I promise you one day you're going to change your mind about this. I assume the sale, always assume the sale, because if I don't have confidence, they're not going to have confidence in what I'm telling them. I've had one girl, in fact, Andrea, before we started the call, you mentioned that a lot of these Alabama girls are pretty competitive. That is very true. And I remember at our Rockstar Days, a couple of the jewels, we were talking about one girl in particular that I said I had my eye on. And they said, oh, everyone has contacted her. You will never get her. Everyone has contacted her. And I thought, okay, game on. And 3 weeks later, homegirl signs up to be on my team. And this is the reason she said this. I asked her, I said, what is it that made you finally decide to take this leap? And she said, because you were so persistent. And because you were so persistent, I believed what you were saying. You didn't back down, and I liked that gumption about you. So, I mean, that is what I really believe separates people's business, is just following up with people, y'all. It's consistent action creates consistent results. It is not brain surgery. It's commitment. It's being committed to these products. It's being committed to this business. I feel huge passion about this business and how it can change people's lives. I was able to resign from my job after 7 months of doing this business on the side. A lot of times I only worked it for 5 minutes a day, but I was consistent in my action. I did it every single day, and I follow up. I cannot say that enough, because that is what's going to build people's belief. They can start off as someone that thinks that I have fallen and bumped my head like I thought about my uplines. And my continually following up will build their belief. I had another girl who signed up that said that too. She said, you have followed up with me so consistently, I believe what you're saying. So that is what I preach to my team. And I do believe it's what puts people, ahead of the game. It's just that consistent follow up.
Okay, y'all look forward to a video from Kelly on how to follow up well. Because I think we all struggle with that. I think we don't know how to keep what we think is bothering someone, but Kelly's a great example of not bothering someone, just being available, so that when they're ready, you already have the relationship built and the community built. And Kelly, so tell us what your newest goal is. What's your goal? What's your timeline for it? I have a feeling that you're a goal setter, so tell us what it is.
I am a goal setter, and I make my team, I really, really encourage my team from the minute they sign up to set goals. And that scares a lot of people. But I'm a believer, and I believe what the word says, that without vision, the people will perish. And I mean, I know that sounds a little, can be perceived as harsh, but the fact is I said this on a call recently. You did not start Plexus on accident. You didn't fall into this and accidentally pay $34.95 for your business. You did it because you had a vision. You had a vision for better health. You had a vision for a better future financially, for whatever it is. If you want to adopt babies, if you want to start a ministry, whatever it is that you have a vision for, it started with an idea. It started with your imagination, and then you put action to it. So I encourage my team always to start with vision, because otherwise you're kind of floundering around. You didn't accidentally enter Plexus. You're not going to accidentally find success with this. So it's very important just to keep that vision. Leaders are not, everybody on this call, we're not separated because of our abilities. We are no different than anybody else. The only thing that separates leaders is their vision, and it's putting it into action every single day. So I do. I have a vision. I have goals for my team. I have goals to have 2 emeralds on my team in the next 6 months. I want to be diamond this time next year. I will be diamond this time next year. And I think it's important. I think it's important if I can encourage everyone on this call to think about this. If you do not have a goal right now, sit down tonight before you go to bed and write out what it is that made you come to this. Write out why you started these products and why you're doing this business. Tape it to the top of your computer. Go back to that why, because you're going to hit moments where you are discouraged. You're going to hit moments that you want to quit. But the other thing that separates everyone on this call, I said this on a call recently too, is vision, and it's the fact that we do not give ourselves the opportunity to quit. We don't give ourselves that option. There's lots of times I've wanted to, but I never gave myself the option to do it. So always have a vision for why you're doing this. Keep it at the forefront of your imagination. Keep it at the forefront. If it's on your computer, if it's on your refrigerator, whatever it is, so that you see it and you're reminded that there's a bigger purpose for you doing this. Every time you get crickets, every time you hear no, every time you see a white line appear, remember there's a purpose in you being here and doing this. And so, yes, I have goals for myself. I have goals for my team, but it's because we have a much bigger purpose than just Plexus. I want to be kingdom builders at the end of the day. I want us to have a purpose and a legacy that lives on past this, what we do with this company.
Amen. I absolutely agree. And does anyone on this call have any doubt that Kelly's going to be a diamond this time next year? I'm pretty sure nobody doubts you, girl. I have a feeling it'll be before this time next year. And thank you so much. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Forget to have a vision. And I know that you have a vision coming to you in just a little while. We're coming home. So we are so grateful that Kelly got to share a little bit of tonight with us.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move on to Courtney Chesney. I have known Courtney for a very long time. I knew her from a distance long before I knew her anything in Plexus. Her daddy is someone that I just admire and adore. He was my pastor when Joe and I got married, and I just adore the whole family. They are a blast to watch. I don't know why I'm getting teary again, but having Courtney on this call means that Courtney is an emerald, and I promise you that it is blood, sweat, and tears, and every single one of them have been worth it. And I am so grateful that you are here. Courtney, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I just want you to get into what do you think you have learned on this journey to Emerald?
All right. Well, as Andrew said, my name is Courtney Chesney. I live in Tampa currently. God brought us here several years back when my husband took a job as a minister. So my father's a minister, my husband's a minister, my brother's a minister. That's kind of where it stops. But we have 4 kids together. We just celebrated all the birthdays. So they're 4, 6, 8, and 10. And I homeschool everybody. So we're always together, and it's always a lot of fun. What else about me? I think that's it. Yeah, it took me over 3 years to get here. So if you are working still to hit that next rank, I promise it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. So my first question is, what's the greatest thing that I've learned on my journey to Emerald? And I spent 2 years overseas as a missionary before I got married. So this is the same question that I got during my time overseas. What's the one thing that you learned, Courtney? And I'm going to give the same answer. Prayer can move mountains. It really can. Prayer can get you to Emerald. I promise it can. But I'm going to talk about what you have to couple with that prayer in order to get there. If you aren't a believer in Christ, this is probably not going to make a lot of sense to you. But if you are a believer in Christ, then I'm hoping it resonates with your heart. Pray big, pray hard. Psalm 127 says that unless the Lord builds the house, the work of the builders is wasted. So I'm a big believer that prayer and hard work go hand in hand. Don't just labor, pray it through. Don't just pray, work hard. And if you guys are familiar with the book of Jonah, if God can use a fish, a plant, and a worm, He can use my computer, my phone, my time, my talents, and my network to build this business. Are you muted, Angela?
I'm muted. Okay. We're going to church, and I'm okay with it. How do you find time in your day? You talked about the fact that you have 4 kids, you homeschool, you have a husband who's a minister, which we all know is a more than full-time job. There actually are no off hours when you are a minister. And today is definitely, game day every Sunday. So how do you organize your time? How do you prioritize? How do you, I took a picture the other day for our team page of my youngest sitting on my lap, wanting to do his schoolwork on my lap while I'm on my computer. I have a feeling that's your day every day, and the rest of us are ecstatic that we get to send our children off to school. How do you do this that requires time and an effort when you have kind of everything going on in your face all day long?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm gonna see if I can show you a picture. If you guys can see that, that's me in my office. My kids are literally sitting there writing their papers that are due for co-op on Tuesday while I am typing out the answers to the questions that Andrea had pre-sent me. So I took it thinking I'm going to be able to use that tonight because I literally have kids like all up on my business while I'm sitting here trying to type. So I just wanted to go back a little bit. When you hit senior gold, you need to shift your focus from just building your team from just building your personal business to now you're building a team too. Okay, so you got to marry those two things together well. And whereas you used to be able to fit this business into the nooks and crannies, you're going to need to up your business hours now. It's a misconception that you can make $10,000 a month in network marketing by just putting in about an hour of work a day. It's an easy way to make more money than the average person, but it does take some time, guys. So I'm not going to, dance around that and pretend that it doesn't. You can't have $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic. It's just not going to happen. So here's the time to work smarter and not harder. I love that phrase. You need to analyze your time and see where you can start pulling from. So some places that I found that I could start pulling from is I was seeming to get the same questions over and over and over again from my team. And I decided one day, instead of typing out all of the answers to these kind of like top 10 questions, I typed them up in the notes section of my phone, copy and pasted it. One day when I had on makeup, I sat down and did several YouTube videos. So if I think the person's going to watch it better than read it, I have, kind of the option of that. So that really helps me. I think it's really smart to work your IPA daily. So what is IPA if you're new? Income producing activity. And we tell people reach out to 5 new people every day. You guys, reaching out to 5 new people every day is going to be a lot easier than putting that off and having to reach out to 50 new people in one day. So reach out to those 5 steadily every single day. I work in the car, okay? So don't think I'm sitting there texting while I've got my 4 kids in the car. I do a lot of voice messaging, which I also think is a pro because this is network marketing, which is really relationship marketing. People can hear my voice. It's just more of a personal touch. I do homeschool. I'm always with the kids. So I literally look for every spare minute possible. If they're sitting down reading their books, I'm going to grab my phone and they're working and I'm working. And so we can kind of tag team it like that. See, I've made a couple notes. I do require quiet time. If you get to send your kids to school, bless you, but I don't. And so I require quiet time every day. And now they don't always give me an hour, but I will sneak in as much time as I can and keep kind of like, hey, I've worked with you all morning. Now it's time for you to go, just have some time to yourself. Sure, go play Legos with your brother or sister. I don't care, but keep my door shut and let me just have this hour. I don't think that's rude. I think it's kind of teaching kids boundaries. I work, I'm going to get real personal here. I send the kids to Awanas on Sunday nights. They go on for an hour and a half, and I do not teach. And I have been asked to teach, and I just don't. I take that time, and I work my business during that time. It's a great hour and a half. Nobody's here. Everybody leaves me alone, so it's perfect. And I have an amazing husband. I know some of y'all don't have a spouse that supports you, but mine really has from the beginning. In fact, he and my mom are the reason why I'm working the business. They told me I definitely needed to do this. And so he puts the kids to bed every night. And I can take that, probably an hour, because let's face it, 4 kids who don't want to go to bed are going to drag the time out. So I can take that hour of time and work, and then I can hang out with him when that hour is over. So it's not taking any time away from us together. My last piece of advice, set a timer. If you can set a 30-minute timer. That'll help you stay focused. Because if you know there's a countdown going on, you're not going to be sitting there scrolling Facebook and Instagram. And I just really think that's a super practical way to just sit down and get 15, 20, 30 minutes. I know I read like an organizational blog, and the woman was like, set a timer for 30 minutes, and what you get cleaned is what you get cleaned in that 30 minutes. Do the same thing for your Plexus business. I say set that timer and get the work done.
I love that so much. And I say that because you would think, because I'm home all day, my kids go to school at 8, I don't have to pick them up. Actually, I don't even have to pick them up in the afternoon. My husband does that. So I really have all day to do whatever. But because I have all day to do whatever, I can find a billion things to do in that time. And I honestly think my most productive ambassadors are the ones that work full time or have very limited time, because when they have the time, they bust it out. And the ones that have all day, they're like, I might get to that at some point later. I'm going to watch Netflix for a while first, and I might order Uber Eats for lunch and might go to, hang out with some friends. And then all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock and you've got to make dinner and you don't have time to do your business. That's me. That may not be everybody, but that is me. I will find a million other things to do, because contacting 5 new people, it's hard, y'all. And it's not, we're not saying it's going to be easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And sometimes you just don't feel like it. And so I love the timer idea, because it's like, okay, IPA, worksheet or writing down 30 minutes timer. Because I do that with my rooms. I do 10 minutes. Every single room gets 10 minutes. And whatever happens in that, it's amazing what you can get done in 10 minutes in a room when you're focused on it for 10 minutes. So I love those thoughts. Okay, really fast, Courtney, because you have been with me the longest. If there is somebody on this call that feels like I've been here forever, I've been sitting at this place, I've been sitting on this team, I've watched all these people go on this trip, I've watched all these people earn leaders, I've watched people just fly past me. I mean, what would your advice be to that person that's saying, is it ever going to happen for me?
Yeah, I think you have to ask, is your goal worth hitting? Like, is it worth it? Why are you wanting to hit it? You've got to keep that in front of you at all times. And I think Kelly already hit on this too. You've just got to keep that in front of you. Post it on your computer, post it up in front of, on the wall. Put it somewhere every day where you can see it. Is it private school tuition? Are you wanting to come home from a job? Are you paying off debt? Do you need a new car? Keeping that in front of you is important. And I am just going to slip this in here. I tell my team, and I don't know, maybe they're sick of hearing this, but it's a great analogy. If you want to take a day or two off, okay, you can, but you're going to be at the point where you're then coasting, and anybody coasting is going downhill, and it's so much harder to turn around and pedal back up a hill. So work your business every day. Just stay committed to it. My big thing is, and I can speak completely from a personal experience on this, I wasn't going to convention in May. You can ask my upline. I think she wanted to reach through the phone and wring my neck, but I wasn't going. I'm an introvert. That was something I didn't share. And I just don't love large gatherings like that. I can get on here and talk, but then I'm going to go and kind of cover up in bed when I'm done with the call. But I booked my ticket, I think 2 weeks before, and it was such an amazing experience because God spoke to me there, and he just spoke to me about going ahead and pushing for Emerald. Do I think that he cares about that kind of stuff? Heck yeah, I really do. I think that he totally cares about it. Being at convention helped build my belief. Now, this was my 3rd convention to go to. So be on trainings, be on team calls, be at meetings, push for Leaders Retreat. You guys, Leaders Retreat is the best. I'm sure Hawaii is going to beat it, but so far, I love Leaders Retreat. It's just the best. Why? Well, okay, so I've talked about God a lot. I'm going to compare this again to the church. We go to church as believers to worship God, yes, but the fellowship of like-minded people is so encouraging. And so I just want to compare that to these team meetings, conventions, trainings, calls, whatever. You're going to have people tell you those products don't work. Try, this company instead, or all you have to do is, diet or whatever, eat, sauerkraut, eat gallons of sauerkraut and you can clean up, your gut. It's a lot of sauerkraut, but you're going to hear that kind of stuff. And getting on these trainings and calls weekly, I think, is a really important thing. Watch Diamond documentaries if you don't have a training coming up. Find something and build that belief in yourself, because then that's going to give you the encouragement to step out and reach out to that person one more time again. So that's kind of my advice for that. Is just be present at this stuff and ask yourself, did you come this far to only come this far? I mean, you can push, you can go a little bit further for a little bit longer.
Yes, and I really think about that graphic that we've seen so often where it's the man with the pickaxe and he's, digging in the tunnel, and there's the diamonds are just on the other side of like this much more dirt, and he just gives up and walks away. And think about if it's, Courtney, or if it's Kelly, if, that's where we've gotten so far in this call, like what if those are the people on the other side of that and they just haven't caught the vision yet, they just haven't seen it, and in you being consistent with that activity, prayerful about your business, and focused on your vision, has you going, okay, I'm gonna keep pickaxing away. I just had someone who is a gold on my team, and she has just fought to keep gold, to maintain her team. And the last couple of days, she's had someone that's just like, I want this. I want to do this with you. I really see the vision already. I see what the work is required for it. And I think she just has a renewed sense of somebody wants to do this with me. Someone has the same goals I have. And I think all of us can say, when you get somebody on your team that goes, oh, I want to do this. Yeah, I know what to do, and I'll do it. And not only do they say it, but they start adding ambassadors. And you're like, oh, you do get it. Because we've all recruited someone that's like, this person's going to be a rock star. And they do nothing because they just don't see the vision. But when someone sees the vision and they act on it, it's like it grows our belief. It grows the belief of everybody around us because we don't shut up. It grows it just magnifies it. Courtney, thank you so much for getting on. I'm so excited to spend time with you tonight. Okay, so next I want to talk to Abby. And Abby, I want you to tell a little bit about yourself. And then I want you to go right into you have 65 level 1 ambassadors in less than 2 years. And I just want to put that in perspective. I think I had 80 in 3.5, almost 4 years. So you are blowing and going. What does it look like to go silver at least every single month? Like you have on average gone at least silver, if not more, every single month. There's activity involved, but there's a lot involved in that. So tell us a little bit about yourself and then go right into your recruiting style. If you can hear Abby, will you give me a thumbs up? Kristen, you can hear her? Okay. Go for it, Abs. Okay, if we can't hear Abby, I'm going to make her do her own video with all of these questions answering it. I don't know what else to do. That totally happens. It is technical difficulties, and I don't know why, because we already checked it to make sure we could hear her. So we're going to continue to go, and I'm going to make Abby do her own video. She's not muted. She has her mute button on, but it's not working. Okay, we're going to keep going, and I'm going to make Abby do her own video. So you're going to get Abby all to yourself. Okay, so Christy, we are going to talk to you. And I want to hear just your a little bit of your story. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then I also want you to talk about being a self-starter, self-motivated. You are someone that just comes in and just blows and goes. So tell me a little bit about that. So let's talk about a huge promotion like that.
Hey, thank you. Okay, so I'm Christy Doss, and I live in Evans, Georgia, which is near Augusta, Georgia. And my upline, Lisa, is in Alabama. So she's a big part of the Alabama group. But I'm so excited because you know what? When I first got started, I really just wanted to feel better. And so, I just wanted the best value. So when I joined, I was so excited. I didn't tell my husband. I don't know how many of you guys, didn't tell your husband. So it was, I wanted to get the best price so that way I could just start the products. And by day 4, I felt so amazing. It was on. And as soon as I started sharing, I made $200 my first month. And that's when I saw the vision. I'm like, you know what? This is incredible. This is something bigger. There's so much more to this opportunity. And really just seeing that, the products have started changing my life already. By day 4, I felt like a new person. The masses need these products. Everyone needs to know these products. There's no way I'm not going to share. And so really just learning and just knowing that I made $200 the first month, it only has gone up ever since. Every month it has gone up. You guys, that's exciting. And so I really I'm like, it's been easy, and it's been easy to be consistent because I saw the vision from the start. And after that, I just started running with it. And just, I'm an introvert. So I love to do things like this. I love to be one-on-one with people, but when it comes to crowds, I'm just, I can get a little bit quieter, but you know what? I could not share this with people. And I'm like, this has kind of gotten me outside of myself even and grown myself. And so really just, you want to run with it. Tell your friends why you want them to join you. Tell them that, your excitement is going to be contagious. Tell them you've got to do this with me. And like Kelly said, just be consistent with your sharing. And I feel like that has been the biggest thing. I saw the vision from the get-go. I saw how amazing the compensation plan is, how the company, it's just truly a blessing. It has been such a blessing. I was praying for answers struggled with chronic sinusitis. I struggled with like a list of 50 things, 3 products, nothing on that list anymore. That's incredible. So really just being excited and sharing. And then to just knowing that Plexus, how unique Plexus is. There's nothing else that, that the masses need, that we have something to offer. That's exciting. That's just exciting. So it makes it so easy to share. And I feel like that's what's been just so much fun.
Okay, so I want to ask you, I just want to go off the questions a little bit, but do you feel like you had like a mass kind of network to start with, or do you feel like you kind of went out and found people?
I just got so excited. I just started telling everybody about it, basically. I did not hold it back. I just started sharing. I started everything my upline was telling me to do. I just did it. I got on calls. I got on, whatever they said to do, I did. And so I just felt like I just ran with it, and I just kept, reaching out to friends.
Okay, so what motivates you past Emerald? So you are here, you're going to Hawaii, and I literally am on a countdown. And what do you think motivates you to go further? Like for all of us, so many people, their goal is Emerald. What makes you want to go to Sapphire, Diamond, and Gold?
Well, I think once you get started and once you see the opportunity as what it is, it's almost like I knew from the get-go, like one day I'm going to be a diamond. And I really do feel like mindset is huge. Just knowing like from the get-go, I've seen my upline do it. I've seen Lindsay Russell do it. I've seen, all of you guys do it. And I'm like, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. So I truly feel like mindset is huge, and just your belief and, belief in the products, belief in the company. Just you can run with it.
I love it, Christy. Thank you so much. I think that belief is huge, and you've definitely poured into that, and I cannot wait. We've never spent time together. I can't wait to actually see you. It's so much fun that you get to actually do this with people that you get to become friends with. I love it. I'm so excited. Okay, Abby, are you on? Abby, can you say something?
I'm hearing a lot of feedback.
Yes, my feedback is awful. But go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about signing up 65 level 1.
Okay. So I was a wholesale ambassador. Is this echoing for you? Are y'all good? Okay. So I was a wholesale ambassador for about a year. I enjoyed the products. I did not, I shared with my friends, but I did not sign people up under me. So after several times of sharing the products and sending them on to my upline or things like that, I just thought, you know what? Why not sign these people up under me? I'm signed up wholesale. I love the products. I may as well just go ahead and sign them up under me. So I started sharing the products last May. So I have been signed up wholesale for about 2 years, but I have not been working the business for that long. I was almost a year in. I was just strictly a wholesale customer. So my thing is, when I started doing this, I went completely, I started posting on Facebook, and I started reaching out like a crazy person. And Kelly Godwin, who spoke earlier, is like my power partner. She's my Plexus BFF. And I remember very early on when I was just having one of those freak out moments of, how can I do this? How can I cold message? What are people going to think about me? I'm a nurse. I was a labor and delivery nurse. My husband is a physician, and I was just so freaked out about what people were going to think about us. But I knew that I needed this opportunity and that our family needed this opportunity. And I will never forget this, but she said, those people's opinions of you are not paying your bills. And that was just a huge light bulb moment for me, that yes, not every person that I know and that I'm friends with on Facebook or whatever is going to cheer me on and be excited and buy products from me and all that. But it's okay. This is not for everybody, and not everybody has to support me on this journey, but it doesn't mean that I'm doing the wrong thing. So that really, truly, and I have shared that so many times with so many people, but that really was a game changer moment for me. And, as somebody who has struggled lifelong with rejection, security, just you name it, I've struggled with it. And, just to be completely vulnerable, God had dealt with me on a very personal level with just people pleasing and, who was I living for and all that kind of stuff. So I had dealt with that spiritually the year before I joined Plexus. And I was actually seeking out to start my own business. And I was sitting there, I was already signed up wholesale for Plexus. And it was like, he told me to just go for it. And this was the tangible walking it out of me dealing spiritually with a spirit of rejection. This was the tangible walking it out. Like, I had dealt with it spiritually, and this was me. Okay, you've dealt with this. Your worth, my worth is in my relationship with Jesus Christ. And so this was him allowing me to walk it out. And I had just shared unashamedly. I've just shared truthfully what it's done for me, what it's done for my friends, what it's done for my family. And I've cold messaged tons and tons and tons of people who I think were probably too shy, who were maybe interested but too shy to reach out to me, and just tried to just start the conversation with them. And I've tried not to be salesy or pushy or obnoxious, but just look for ways to help people, to help them grow, either just personally or spiritually or with their health or their finances, just in some way. And I've just tried to be really genuine, but just not apologetic for what I'm doing. And I think that has made the difference. Just me being authentic and just being like, you know what? Maybe this month is not the right time for you to start Plexus, but that's okay. You know, I want a relationship with you. I'm going to continue that relationship. And a lot of times those people who aren't quite ready now, I think if we don't push them, they will sign up later on down the road.
Thank you so much, Abby. I just want to say that I think listening to someone who just has kind of had the Lord work on them and then seeing how Plexus kind of plays into that is so reassuring, and to know that God's kind of working on all of us, and before, during, after Plexus. And I want to see, what do you think is possible with this company? What do you think is long-term, really possible? What are your long-term goals, and kind of what do you see as like a possibility?
Well, do you want me to be completely honest?
Completely. Be completely honest. Go for it. Say it all.
Okay, so you know, a lot of you guys know that my husband is a physician. He's an anesthesiologist, and we went through undergrad together. You know, we knew each other in high school. We started dating in college. I actually wanted to be a Christian counselor. And so we started dating. I knew he wanted to go to med school. And so I was like, well, I knew doing counseling was going to require a master's degree. And really, I knew I just wanted to be a mom. But I just wanted to help people. So I was like, okay. So, you know, my little organized mind was like, let's plan this out. Okay, so you're going to go to med school. And instead of getting a master's in counseling, I'm going to do the practical thing and go to nursing school, because I'm still going to be able to help people. And it's you know, it's pretty fast. I've already done some nursing prerequisites at Auburn, which is where we went to undergrad. So we moved back to Birmingham. He worked as an engineer because that's his undergrad degree. He got ready for taking the MCATs and all that for med school. And I applied to nursing school because I was like, this is, you know, nursing is secure. I know I can get a job. I can put him through med school and then I can quit. So, you know, so we literally started from ground zero. We had nothing. We literally, like, our parents have been amazingly supportive, but they were also not writing checks. They were not paying our rent. They were not buying us a house, nothing like that. And literally when we got married, I had not technically graduated from Auburn. I still had to do my internship, and my parents were like, good luck with that. You get to pay that. You know, y'all are married, so have fun paying that last semester of tuition. So again, they not being harsh or anything like that, but they were just like, you're married, it's yours now. And so we, you know, they would feed us, all that good stuff. You know, Trey's parents gave us a car when we got married, which he is still driving. And you know, anyway, so we just kind of have done our own thing. So I went to nursing school, did med school, and then we got pregnant with our first baby. So I worked through nursing school. You know, we went about probably 6 to 9 months with zero income, like no income whatsoever. I had to get on Medicaid during my pregnancy. It was just, I mean, I think we had student loans and we had like $1,100 a month to live off of. And that is like rent, food, everything. And that was a short season in our lives, but we lived through that. And then I got a job as a nurse, and I worked day shift for a while, and then I worked night shift for a while. So anyway, I did that for 5 years while he was going through med school and then residency, where you're earning nothing. And again, I mean, he's very smart. So we're paying all this money to go through med school, then he's in residency. He's working for free. And then, you know, you come out 8 years after college with $200,000 in debt. And, you know, he has a doctorate. He's an MD. You know, I'm an RN. I'm retired at this point because we have 4 kids. So, you know, I will say this. So he's out and he's working and all that stuff. I don't make as much as he does now, but through Plexus, we are completely debt free except for our mortgage. We have no student loans. We had $200,000 in student loans when we came out of med school. So we were completely debt free except for our mortgage. And I 100% believe that one day I will make more money than he will. And I think it will probably be within the next 3 to 4 years. And he has a fantastic job, and he has worked his tail off to get there. He's brilliant, and he's just made a huge investment. So for me to be able to make more money than him in 4 years, and him to invest, you know, $500,000 in half his life, I'm just like, this is a huge opportunity. And he is 100% a believer in these products and in this business, and is completely supportive of what I'm doing. So that was probably more than you bargained for, but that is what was possible.
I think that's exactly what I bargained for, is the fact that you're literally saying what we can do as mamas. And I mean, we have a lot of different jobs, and not everybody on here is a mom, and not everyone that's a Jewel is a mom. But what we can do without degrees in 8 years of school, and I know Kelly went to school for a long time. Obviously, she's a prosecutor. But anybody at any stage can make an insane amount of money. I mean, I know what I make. My husband was an oil and gas trader for 16 years, and he lost his job last October. With the whole company had to file bankruptcy, and a job that was super secure went from that to nothing, and we ended up closing on our house with just my Plexus income. We built this house on our dual income and his incredible job that I did not want to be the breadwinner ever. I just wanted to be the fun money. And my fun money job went from that to being the breadwinning job that closed on the house. So it's insane what we're capable of. Okay, I want to introduce you to Erin Carey. And Erin is probably the person that I get to spend the most time with. We get face-to-face time since she lives so close. And Erin, I want you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and then I want you to talk about what's been the most difficult part of your journey and then what you've learned from it.
Okay, hi, I'm Erin Carey, and I'm really excited to be talking to you guys, and I feel absolutely honored to be on here with all of these other Emeralds, because I was Senior Ruby for 16 months. That's a really long time to be comfortable at a rank. I'm not going to say stuck. I'm going to say comfortable. But I hit Senior Ruby in March of 2016. And I became Emerald just this last month. And y'all, I have learned so much. Yes, it was difficult to be Senior Ruby for that long, but at the same time, I needed some refinement. I needed to do some personal growth. And God was working on my heart in big ways. He was working on my leadership skills, on my self-doubt, on my confidence levels. I had to grow in huge ways to get from Senior Ruby to Emerald. When I hit Senior Ruby, I really thought that, just like with the other ranks, oh, I'll get this one in the next few months. It's going to grow. I've never dropped really. It's always kind of gone up. So, you know, I'll probably be Emerald by December. Well, my points just kind of, and I don't know if those of you who aren't familiar with points, to get to Emerald, you have to have 1,500 points. Well, my points from Senior Ruby to Emerald, they just kind of started stalling every month. We were adding people to my team, but the next month my points didn't grow. We kept adding, and my points didn't grow. So something was going on. There was a lot of discouragement going on for me personally, because there were two people that were really integral parts of my team that decided that they had some other things going on, and they didn't want to work the business anymore. And again, that's okay. That's not about me. That's about them. And so I had to keep going, and I had to be my own rock star. That's one thing that I very much learned, is I can't depend on other people to move me to the next rank. I can't. I have to depend on what I'm doing, how I'm leading my team. And it's not about me, but at the same time, I've got to do the work. Right? Like, I want to encourage my team and lift them up and do whatever I can to be a servant leader. But I know that they can't just let me, push me on to the next rank. I can't just sit back and go, okay, you guys know what to do, so here I go. I'm going to Sapphire. That's not going to happen. I've got to step up my game every single day. So I think just learning to grow in my leadership skills. And man, my word of the year this last year was dependence. And oh my gosh, I should have chosen, the word emerald, because maybe I would have gotten there faster. But I've really had to grow in my dependence on the Lord for guidance and provision. God always provides exactly what we need when we need it. I know we've already been to church once tonight, so I'll cut the church talk short. But really, I've had to grow so much personally, spiritually, in every way. And that's the thing that, yes, that's been the most difficult part, is being comfortable at Senior Ruby for 16 months. But at the same time, I don't think that I would have appreciated Emerald. For me personally, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it as much as I do now, because I had to stop thinking about what everybody else was doing. I had to put my blinders on. I had to stay focused, and I had to put in the work. And that's probably what I've learned.
I love it. And I love getting to watch your journey. It's fun to get to watch it kind of up close and personal here. Okay, so I think I know what the sweetest moment has been over the last 3.5 years, but tell me, or 3+ years, but tell me some other sweet moments. Like, what are some things, I think we all, and Kelly kind of alluded to this, and she's like, keep your vision in front of you, because there will be hard times, but you'll want to keep going back to that. So there's kind of things that kind of remind us of why it is that we do this in the first place. So what are some sweet moments that you've had kind of in the 3+ years that you would share with us to kind of keep you going?
Well, the first thing was that I didn't start off wanting to work a business. I think many of us have said that we just wanted the cheaper products or whatever. And so to even be able to provide a little bit of extra income for my family, I taught for 11 years. I was a teacher. I taught middle school. Love the crazies. They're great. And my husband is on staff at a church. So the teacher preacher income is not great, So to be able to have that little bit of extra from Plexus when I didn't even really know what I was doing was pretty awesome. And so as that income grew and my belief in the products grew, then my belief in the company grew to the point where last May 2016, I resigned as a teacher, and I got to stay home with my kids for the first time in 11 years of parenting. I'd never been home before. Now, I will say, as Andrea mentioned before, I think when I was teaching, there were times where I felt like I could do more work because I would take my lunch hour, I would work after school, I would fit all these times in, and I've had to learn how to work at home with my kids being crazy, like Courtney Chesney was saying. I've had to figure that out. I had my third baby in October, and I didn't have to take a 6-week maternity leave. I had to do that with my second kid. It's been like almost a year, and I'm still on maternity leave. It's amazing. I get to see him every day, his whiny little face every day, and I love every bit of it. It's great. So that's been the sweetest thing. My daughter was going through some hard times. Middle of her 7th grade year, I'm in her room. If you can't tell, this is not my bedroom with all this stuff going on. But we were able to pull her and support her, and I'm now homeschooling her, and I'm there for her during a time where she really, really needs me. And I would not have been able to do that. First of all, I wouldn't have been able to see what was going on. And it's just the way God orchestrated it. There have been so many sweet moments, but those are kind of the highlights. And again, getting this Hawaii trip for my husband, who he really needs a vacation. Like, I need a vacation, but he really needs a vacation. So I'm excited that in 4 weeks, we will be on our first vacation together since our honeymoon 8 years ago, which is really, really cool.
Oh my gosh, Erin, I need a vacation more. And I'm so excited because with Plexus, you get to vacation a lot. I just think when you start talking about all the sweet moments, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, if you know anything about the Old Testament and the Israelites, like it just takes you back to memorial stones. Like, oh, this is where God's been faithful, and this is where God's been faithful, and this is where, and you get to kind of go back when I get to listen to your stories, all of your stories, and go, oh my gosh, God was so faithful in so many things. I mean, Maui's fun, but staying home with your newborn, getting to just be, an integral part of your daughter when she's in middle school, which is so hard. None of us would pay money to ever go, would ever accept money to go back to middle school, I don't think. That's huge. That's God, we say in Sunday school all the time, find little ways every day that God says, I love you. And to me, those are just like little ways that God has just been like, or big ways that God has just said, I love you. And I'm proud of your journey, and this is right where you're supposed to be. And he keeps kind of giving you little markers along the way. So I love that. Okay, we are going to move over to Jennifer Wolf. And if you have heard Southern accents for most of this call, then you're going to get a break. You are going to hear from someone who did not know, extremely well the person that she signed up with. I think that Jennifer signing up with Rachel Rogers, if you don't know who her sponsor is such a great story. I mean, talk about just the neatest thing to get to watch over the last few years. I have loved watching you grow, and getting to Emerald has been so much fun. And I know there are, tons of people in between us, but it's fun to watch everybody cheerlead you on to your goal. I know that it was not easy, but you're there, and it is just going to continue to go. I'm really proud of you. And I want you to talk a little bit about being in a different state from everybody else. I mean, your entire upline is pretty much south. I mean, I think all of us are in Texas, every single one of us. And so you're separated from us geographically. None of us knew you prior to Plexus, so you don't have that kind of, relationship going into it. How was this different for you than what you've seen with everybody else? And how do you think that has kind of grown your business? Like, how do you think that kind of helped you become successful, or kind of the good and the bad of it, both?
Oh gosh, you hear that feedback? Let me turn my microphone down, or my speakers down. I didn't know Rachel when I started Plexus. I just started following her because she was so uplifting. And she asked me to do Plexus. And I told her no, because everybody in my area, I'm from Ohio, so way up here in the north. And I said, everybody in my town is either poor or they're really negative. So no one would want to get healthy with me, and no one would want to build a business with me and have this opportunity. And she just didn't take no for an answer. And she just had a comeback for every one of my objections. And really right from the beginning, she really poured into me. And I think sometimes in your life, you need somebody to be a friend who doesn't know you yet. And she was everything that I needed. And she was very objective. And our relationship just grew almost instantaneously. And we actually talked more about the Lord in the beginning than we did about Plexus. And then Plexus just kept coming back up. But because I felt so connected to her, and she was so vulnerable and open with me right from the get-go, and she never made it feel like she just wanted me to do Plexus. That wasn't the only reason that she would ever talk to me. So that was one thing that really, made me realize that something was different about this. And she really just poured into me. I think she was the first person that I can recall, other than your typical, like, hey, you're awesome, go get them. I went through nursing school. People have believed in me, and I've always been a very driven person. But she was the first person that had no reason to she didn't have to be nice to me, and she didn't have to tell me she believed in me, but she did. And I was just very open and receptive to that. And I think it was very scary for me in the beginning, because nobody up here knew what Plexus was. And I thought at the time that was a really bad thing, but it was actually a huge, huge blessing, because now everybody, 90% of my team is local to me, within an hour of me. So clearly everybody up here did need Plexus, just like Rachel told me, even though I didn't believe her. And you know, it's so funny. I always tease like all of my sidelines and friends from down south. I say, you guys kind of have it easy. Not really, but everybody down south's like, oh, hey, y'all. Yeah, I'm going to do that Plexus stuff with my girl. And up here, everyone's like, what are you talking about? I don't want your stuff. It's a very different culture up here. People are very blue collar, union, straightforward. People always tell me within Plexus that I'm a straight shooter and that I'm very just to the point. And I don't see myself that way. And I think it's just because up here in Ohio, people just act that way. So that's just normal. We don't beat around the bush. And I'm not a Southern belle in any way, shape, or form. But Rachel being my sponsor really helped me because naturally she showed me that I had influence and that I could build influence with people right here in my life. But she also showed me that I could connect with people 1,000 miles away because she had done that with me. So I have been able to just really grow my business in both ways. I don't think twice about it. It could be someone that I see every day when I drop my kids off to school, or it could be somebody that I added as a friend who lives in California. And to me, they're both my potential, and they're both someone that I could build a relationship with. So I build relationships in person and online, and I do them both without even thinking twice. And I think it's just because of the relationship that I've built with my sponsor. And obviously face-to-face Zooms help a lot too.
Yes, we are so lucky that we can actually see each other. When we started, I don't know if Courtney and Aaron remember, but when we started, like all we did was conference calls. We never saw each other. And Jennifer, you were there too. Like we never saw each other on a video conference. Who knew it would change this fast in 3 years? And what it'll be like in 3 more years. But it is amazing how seeing somebody, in fact, Becky Page, who lives in the same town as me, and we were talking this afternoon, I said, can you Zoom? And so we got on a Zoom, we just started talking, and I mean, she was 20 minutes down the road, but it was easier to talk to her on a Zoom face-to-face than it was to A, get in the car and deal with kids, and B, to try to talk on the phone. So I love the fact that we can see each other. That really does feel like we're so much closer. Okay, so you've kind of alluded to this a little bit, but I wanted to ask, what do you feel like you've learned about yourself over this period of time? I think, you've been with us, about 2.5 years. I know that having Rachel as your sponsor means you're constantly growing in belief, but also personal development. And the girl kind of can't let you go if you haven't done just a little bit of personal development, because she does love, bettering ourselves all the time. So what do you feel like you've learned about yourself? I think one thing that we talk about with Plexus is it grows so many different parts of our belief. But sometimes it's belief in ourselves, and sometimes it's the fact that we never thought we would get on a call and talk to 100 people, and here we are. And so what do you think you've learned about yourself in the last, 2.5 years?
Oh gosh, I've learned a lot, but if I had to pick, I would say two major things. And one would be, I learned how to lead and how to cast vision. One thing, like I can recruit really well if I set my mind to it. I've signed over 100 level ones. They're not all active, but I've signed over 100 in 2.5 years. But one thing from the very get-go, everyone had the option to work the business with me. No, I never viewed anyone as just a wholesale buyer. So it was always like, what are your goals? Do you want to work this? So I really have learned that I'm a good leader. And I didn't see that in the beginning. I was just like, hey, I'm silver, I'm going for gold. Do you want to go silver with me? And now that I train people to do that same thing, I see that doesn't really come natural to people. So that came natural to me in the beginning. I was doing this and people were going to do it with me. Whether they were ready now or not, I would find people that were ready. So I built a team right from the get-go. And I was ready to lead right from the get-go. And so one thing that I've learned is that not everybody's there. And so you have to coach some people to that point. So I've learned that about myself. And then I've also learned self-forgiveness. I am never too hard on myself. I might go, me and my struggle with the daily action stacks and how I'll do my IPA, but if you ask me to write it down, it's like you're putting me in chains. So I've really learned to forgive myself for my shortcomings and to stop dwelling on them and talking about them all the time. I love like what John Maxwell says, which you're going to have things that you're really good in and you can perfect those things. And then you'll have some things that you're kind of good in and you can get better at those. And then there's some things about yourself that you're just never really going to be that good at. And that's where you hire help. So I have learned to identify my strengths and focus on those and praise myself for those and forgive myself for all my shortcomings. When someone, you know, when I sat at Senior Ruby for 15 months, you know, I really had to work on forgiveness, and I really had to work on giving myself permission to feel worthy for the next level. That was something that is not trained within Plexus very much, and it is not really talked about. And I think it is, I don't know if you'd call it a leadership lid, but I was definitely hitting it and not going anywhere else. And so I've learned how to self-reflect and forgive myself for where I'm at and figure out what my problem is and proceed forward. And I really have learned that people really just, and so now I kind of do that with my team and when I'm coaching people. I've realized that some people never go past gold because they don't feel worthy of gold, or they hold on to their insecurities, or they hold on to their struggles or what they're not good at, instead of focusing on how great they really are and positive affirmations and giving themselves permission to reach that next level and to help more people and just to reach their next level of potential, really. So those are some things that I've learned about myself.
I love it. I've gotten to hear bits and pieces of it over the time, but to hear it from you and really hear what the Lord has kind of just revealed. And I would be honest, like I can tell just from the terminology that you use that you're reading Maxwell, that it's not, that it doesn't, just kind of fly by you, but you're actually reading about leadership and how to get better. And I know you're probably ecstatic that we're all going to get to see him in Orlando. It's going to be so awesome. Sarah Marble, who's another diamond in our company, is probably giddy beside herself. And she's met him before. But, I mean, just because she already knows what he's talking about, and she just cannot wait. So I'm really proud of you for so many things. But I think just being vulnerable and sharing that is huge for so many people who don't feel like they've done anything worthy of hitting the next level or making the next amount. I've heard so many people say, I don't feel like I deserve to make $1,000 a month. And that is foreign to me. But not that I think I deserve it, but I've worked hard for it. To me, it's like you've worked hard, you get the paycheck. And it's so interesting. People feel like maybe they haven't worked hard enough, or maybe they haven't done like blood, sweat, and tears to get it. So they don't feel like they've earned it, or just emotionally, they just don't feel like they're worthy of it. And so it's so good to hear someone else talk to that point. And thank you so much. And we are going to move on to Manda. I got to meet Manda last year in Hawaii, and we became fast friends, which people do in this business. You spend time with each other and you find out that you are like-minded and like-hearted. And I decided she was my sister because, I mean, we just look alike, we've decided. And so it's just, this is a fun business when you get to do it with other people that you just love. And I love each and every one of these girls. So Manda, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your family and kind of what goes on around y'all. I know that y'all are busy. And then we are going to just jump right into when did you realize that you could go all in with this business, that this business could be more than just kind of a flash in the pan and something that, a wholesale, pricing, that it could be something more than that? Okay, Erin, can you hear her? Oh, why can Kristen hear you? Okay. I don't know what to do. can't hear you at all. But Kristen can hear you. But I'm afraid it's not recorded if Kristen can hear you and I can't. I do not know what to do with this video. Okay, I'm gonna make you make your own video. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna make you make your own. Okay, love ya. You know I do. Okay, Kristen, your last step. Let's do this. Let me see if I can hear you real fast. Kristen, speak.
I'm here.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have Kristen introduce herself, but I'm gonna preface it with you cannot say that you are too busy and that you don't have time for this and that you're not home enough and that you just, just can't quite make it work. And I'm going to let Kristen tell you why there are no excuses.
Okay. Can you hear me? Are we good? Okay. Yeah, no excuses. Listening to all the other people talk, though, I figure, people will say to me a lot, like, how do you do it all? I think as moms, we just do it. We just do what we have to do. And if God gives us something, we just get after it. And a lot of times I just do the next thing. That's all I can do. I just do the very next thing that's on my list or that's in my mind or that my kids need or whatever. So I just had baby number 8 last September. She's coming on a year. I am not a young mom, obviously. My oldest I take to college in a week. So that's a new thing for us. And so I'm like, the word, I think it's definitely, I'm from Minnesota, so it's definitely not from here, all the feels. That's like a saying from like, I don't know if that is Texas or California, but I got all of them. So I got baby, and I got my 18-year-old adult son going to college. So, and then I got a whole bunch in between there. I homeschool, my husband's a pastor. I lead the local homeschool co-op here in town. So I'm busy, and I was already busy. And my number 7 was 3 when I got pregnant with number 8. So we thought we were kind of done. She turned 4 before baby Jensen was born. And so last September, had a baby, thought everything was okay, but within a week of having Jensen, we recognized that something was not okay. We ended up very quickly back where I delivered is not where we ended up. We ended up in Children's Hospital, and that was the first of about 9 different hospital stays over the past year. Some of the times we got her there ourselves. A lot of times she went by ambulance. Long story short, she has trisomy 5, which is a genetic disorder that has to do with delay. She has seizures. She's, like I said, going to be a year in about 3 weeks, and she can't sit up. She can't hold her head up. She doesn't respond much, but she's still the light of our life, and we love her dearly. So kind of what Andrea was alluding to is my last year was spent in the hospital. And so there are a couple things, there's a lot of things I learned from this, but as far as the business is concerned, I learned that, you hear of, being able to do this job in the nooks and crannies of your life. Those nooks and crannies were a whole lot easier to do the first 2 years of this business, or the first year and a half of this business. And I wrote some notes here, so I'm probably going to be a little bit all over the place. But when we were in the hospital one of the first times, my team reached out to me, and I love my team. I love my uplines. I love my sidelines. That's one thing that I do really, really love about Plexus is we are like in this together. And I remember someone just reaching out to me. It might have been my diamond upline, Amber, and she was just like, you know what? We got this. We got this. You just take care of your baby and don't even worry about working. And so I did. I took a month or so off, kind of. I hated to do that. I hated to not be on the calls every week and to be reaching out and doing the IPAs every day. So I just had to kind of wrap my head around this new diagnosis. I have another daughter with a different genetic disorder. So it was definitely a whirlwind for us to be going through this journey again in a different way. So anyway, after being there the first time, she came home for a little bit. We were back in the hospital again, and I took my laptop with me. And I remember thinking, what other job could you do while you're sitting bedside in a hospital with your child? But I could still do Plexus. And did I do it as well as I had done it the first year and a half I was working the business? No, I didn't. I had, other priorities, obviously. But I still was able to get on the calls I needed to get on and to talk to my ambassadors who were working the business and who were wholesale and customers and all that kind of stuff. So I was still able to do that. And both my husband and I were like, what other job can you really do that? Where you can find that time still when you're not even home with your kids and working that way. There were times last year that it was too much and I just wanted to give up. But it's just that kind of a job that you can still make it work even when life is not normal and easy and what you thought it was going to be. So it is possible to do it in just about any situation.
I love it. And when Ella was back and forth in the hospital, I wasn't working this business, and I've thought of you obviously so many times as I've thought, how do you do it? And I remember I was training for a half marathon when Ella was in and out for about a month and a half. She was pretty much in more than she was out, and I was training for a half marathon, and I remember thinking, you do it because you almost kind of need the distraction. Like, oddly, when your life kind of feels like it's a tornado kind of chaos, you almost need something to feel like, I do this. I can go out, for me, it was going out and running maybe 2 miles just to get my miles in for the day. But I can imagine, like, if we were back in that situation now, which we kind of feel like we could be back in at any minute, it's like, but I need something to kind of feel like I'm grounded. This is my thing. These are my people. That everything doesn't kind of have to go towards Jensen or even just the kids. Like, for a lot of us, this is my thing outside of being a mama and outside of being, a professional or outside of being a wife. Like, this is kind of my thing. And it was hard for my husband at one point, I remember, for me to say, I kind of like the fact that I have something that I feel like I get accolades in. People appreciate me. I've never once had my children come and go, Mother, thank you so much for changing our beds and making our breakfast and making sure all of our schoolwork got, you might at the older ages your kids are, but I promise you at 9, 7, and a nonverbal 11, I do not get a lot of things. And it's so nice to come into a business that you feel like I'm good at something. I actually succeed at something. I put a goal together and I accomplished it. So I love watching your story. Your story reminds me so much of mine without the 7 other children. And I love watching your spirit. You have obviously gone to the top with an incredible team. And that team has been, so, amazing in your business, but it hasn't just been one team. You have a phenomenal team with Sarah Tassa and her incredible leg, but the neat thing about our company is you don't just build with one person, you have to build with other people. And I know getting to Emerald for you wasn't about one person, it was about so many people. So when you decided, so tell us a little bit about deciding you were going to go for Emerald, because I know it wasn't, 3 months ago that you decided you were going to, push for it. And then tell us kind of what it looked like to push for it. Because I think whether you're going for gold this month or you're going to hit gold again this month, or even if you're going for silver, a little bit of what Kristen did last month, I think, will help you kind of with that mindset. Or say you're going for senior ruby or, or senior gold or ruby this month, anytime that you're ever in a month where you have the ability to hit another rank, I think belief in yourself and the belief in your team is huge. So I want Kristen to talk just a little bit about what July kind of morphed into for her.
Sure. When I started out, so I was an ambassador in May of 2015, I believe is when I started out. And I ranked up pretty quickly to gold. You kind of hear that story where people rank up quick and then we kind of hit like a plateau. Obviously, I was senior ruby last July, and with the birth of my daughter, I plateaued. But what I think what I didn't fully understand when I first started out. So I tell people this all the time when they say they want to work the business. Like Andrea said, you can't get to the top with one person. And that was never my goal. I think that first summer I signed, I think I went gold pretty much on my own. Just getting all of those people. I have a lot of level ones. They're not all active, but I signed up a lot of people as wholesale ambassadors to start out. And I liked what, I can't remember who it was on this call, said earlier, you know, you don't treat them like wholesale ambassadors. And I did. I just thought, you know what, I don't want to push them to work the business. So I just kind of let them be. But I kept my relationships open with those people. And I think that's what finally helped me in July. So I know for a fact, like she was saying, I have a really strong leg in Sarah Tassa, and you know, she went emerald back in March. And so my points, my overall points have been high since then. But my outside leg was weak. And so we always call it our, you know, our skinny little chicken leg, my husband and I call it. So I've had just that skinny little leg, skinny in the sense that, you know, I have enough warm bodies to get to the next rank, but I wasn't working on, sorry, now you guys can see there's always someone in here. So anyway, I didn't fully understand that idea of I needed to grow that outside leg and find other people that wanted to work the business. I thought if I just kept adding them, I would be fine. But what I'm learning is that timing is different for people. So even just over this last summer, I've had a few more people say, okay, now I'm ready. I've been on the products for a year. Some have been on them for 2 years, but now I'm ready to work the business. So will you train me now? And because I kept that door open all this time, and because I wasn't pushing these people as much as I wanted them to work it really right away, I was able to just say, okay, you know, let's go for it now. So I knew in my heart that I would go emerald within the next year, pretty sure of that, because I was already pretty close. But of course, I like a good challenge. So when, you know, I was told July 31st, I thought, you know what, why not go for it? Why not at least try? And what I learned through all of that, I learned a lot just by pushing for it in that month, because when I went back to some of those level ones and I said, hey, what do you think? Do you want to do this? Because I had spent so much time in the beginning building that outside leg and all of those level ones, I was able to go back to it now. That foundation was there, even though I had a whole year of really like being out of, I don't know how to explain, because I worked my business all year, but I wasn't like really all 100% in because I couldn't be. So my like encouragement to you is life is going to hit you sometime. I wasn't expecting to have a special needs baby. That was more medical than, you know, maternal for me. I was not expecting that. So Plexus had to become something different in our lives. And I fully believe that God allowed me that very first year to set that foundation of all of those people, so that when it was time to rank up and when it was time to go for something, they were there for me. And I was able to ask them, you know, what do you, and I didn't tell them I was trying to rank up, but I could go back to them and just say, you want to give this a go? And they did. They wanted to start working the business. So they started, you know, they wanted to start doing it. So something that's just really hit me lately is, if the year doesn't go as planned, make sure that you're still working on that foundation, that you have that set. I liked what Courtney said about if you're coasting, you're going to be downhill. Well, it's the same thing with that foundation. And, you know, if you're built, how are you building your house? Is it on sand or is it on, you know, solid ground? And because that solid ground was there, it worked for me to be able to rank up. So, and also relationships are huge. So, you know, the best thing of it all is I couldn't do this on my own. And so because I had to rely on God just to basically survive this last year, I can give 100% of my emerald credit to him because it had to be that way. So,
you know what I love is the fact that we have so many preachers' wives on this call that it's like, we just, I mean, even when they haven't like been trying to, their analogies go right back to scripture, because it's just what they know. It's what comes out of the, you know, what flows out of them. And I just love that. Okay, Amanda, can I hear you?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yay, I can hear you. Okay. I'm so excited. So now you'll get to hear from Amanda, who I adore, and I cannot wait for you to hear a little bit from. So we are going to go back to where we left off. So at what moment did you know you were going to go all in with this business?
Okay. Well, first of all, I am a stay-at-home mom, or I have been for 13 and a half years until I started doing Plexus. And I'm a military spouse. My husband is active duty Army. I've been a spouse for over 16 years. We've moved probably 11 times since we've been married. And I actually started the products in May of 2015. And I used the products inconsistently for 2 or 3 months. And I quit. No big deal. Was one of those annoying white lines on your report. Sorry, Andrea. And then, so fast forward a year later, I see my friend, she has earned a Lexus that I had signed up under. And I thought, well, if she's earned a Lexus, the products must work. So let me get my products back out and try them again. And so I did, and I committed to doing them consistently. And within 3 days, I had more energy than I'd had in forever. And then every day I kept waking up feeling better and better because I felt horrible. That's why I started using them in the first place, because I didn't have energy. I wanted to lose a few pounds. I had lots of anxiety. And, I didn't know that all that stuff was related to gut health. Now I do. And so when and I was also at that time, I was looking for a job. I got the desire to want to go back to work after 13 years. My kids were older. I was like, you know what? I just kind of want a little job. I didn't know what, but it had to be something very flexible because my husband worked all the time. He's gone for a year at a time sometimes. So I had to have, I wanted to be at home for my kids, wanted to still go to all the field trips. And then if my husband had an event I had to go to, I needed to be able to go to that. That job is pretty much impossible to find. And so here God was like, well, here's Plexus. Well, I have never been the type of person to want to do any kind of party. I would never have a party to sell something. A lot of my friends did that. That was fine. I bought the stuff, but I would never do that. I'm not going to ever to deliver stuff to people. Just not going to do it. And so, here God's like, here's Plexus. So I messaged my friend and I was like, I think I want to start posting about Plexus, even though I was scared because as a military spouse, I hate to put everybody in a category, but you're judged a lot on what you wear, what you say, what event you go to or don't go to. So here I am wanting to jump into something where I'm just opening myself up to be judged. But you know what? I swear God was like, you know what, Amanda, this is something good. And if it's good, there is nothing wrong with you sharing this. You are going to help people. And so, May of 2016, a year after I had signed up and quit, I decided I was going to go all in. And I am the type of person that is all or nothing. I am not going to waste that first post for nothing. Like, I'm not going to post it and then not do anything. So if I was going to make that post and feel like I was humiliating myself, which, I wasn't, I was going to do everything I was told to do because if they said to do it, I blindly followed them. Anything a video told me to do, I was like, okay, I'll do it, And I had to give myself a lot of pep talks. I would say, you know what? My friends can't wait to see my next Plexus post. I had to tell myself that stuff because I was so scared to continue making posts. I just gave myself a lot of positive self-talk. And I was like, oh, my friend can't wait for me to message them. So, hey, I'd message them and I would just have to talk to myself like that. And that's how I did it and got over my fears. And, and it's been 14 months. I went Emerald and I went really fast. My journey was very fast because I was all in. Any IPA type of stuff they told us to do as far as messaging 5 people, I'd never messaged only 5 people. I would sit down and message like 30 people or 50 because I knew that I heard Ellen Ford say, you know what, guys, this is a numbers game. The more people you message, the more chances you're going to have for somebody to join you. And so that, to me, I was like, well, hello, I'm going to message everybody I know. I was scared, but I gave myself some self-positive talk and I just did it. And, went silver that first month and then gold in July. 2 months later in September, I was senior gold and ruby. And then I sat there for a while, for about 7 months. And then I went Senior Ruby this past May, and then Emerald in July. But it's hard when you have those slow months. And so in those slow months, I just would, and I would actually think, what the heck am I doing? You know, why, you know, it's because it's hard. And I'm thinking, how is this going to ever get better? But you just listen to your uplines, and everything they say is true. You know, just hang in there and don't quit, and you will succeed. And then I would always go back to like those slow months, even though I was at Ruby, and I always made my points, you know, for 7 months, and I was making good money. I would just say, you know what? I'm just grateful my products are paid for. And that was it. And I was making way more money than that. But that's what I had to constantly tell myself, to be okay with what I was doing. And I would still do the daily work. And I just hung on tight until made it to Emerald, you know.
You're so funny. Hung on tight. Girl, you did it so fast. Like, you had to hold on tight just because it was going. Like, it was a tornado. You were, like, sure. I mean, yes, it's hard. It's simple. It's all those things. And I love that you talked about, and you know, it was one of the questions is did you ever fear what people were saying about you? And I think we struggle so much as women, as wives, as moms, as just people, a friend, that we never want people to judge us. We never want people to say negative things about us, especially when it's something we believe about. And we believe in these products. We believe in this business. And so when we feel like someone's going to say a negative comment, it's really hard. I really want to hear just for a second from you, and I haven't asked you this yet, but what was it like growing this business in a state that is not saturated with Plexus, but has so many successful ambassadors? You are not in the state, but you have so many friends that are in Alabama. And so you're on a team that has a lot of people that kind of all kind of know each other. I know you know Brooke through your brother, and so like you kind of have like all these connections to people. Do you feel like it's hard? Do you feel like I know, you know, luckily you're a little bit removed just where you live, but is it hard, you know, feeling saturated? Do you feel saturated? Do you feel, luckily, you know, you're on the East Coast, so you're a little bit maybe removed and you don't feel that, but in the military world, like, do you feel like there's still so much potential, or do you feel like it's a saturated market?
I don't feel like it's saturated at all. I mean, and even all the people that are on my team in Alabama, I mean, I say, don't worry about that. Don't think about that. You ask them anyways, and you just never know. You may be the person they feel comfortable with to join your team, you know. And even though there's been 4 people, I'll ask someone and they'll say, you know what, Amanda, I went with you because I felt more comfortable with you, and because I was very persistent. You know, I don't stop. I mean, I'm just waiting for people to block me because I continue to follow up. But you know what? I give myself positive self-talk. You know, they want to hear from me again, and it's all good. And then the military world, definitely not saturated. And this is the perfect job for a military spouse because we move all the time. And I used to hate having to look for a job before I had kids. It's awful. It is awful trying to find a job every year and a half, 2 years. And this you can move with you. And my best friend, who I met through the military, she joined me after a couple weeks. She's one of the people who made me go silver. She didn't know that until a few months ago. I was like, yeah, that's why I asked you for your social security number, because I needed to go silver. But anyways, she loves the products. But you know, she's someone too. We both at the same time caught the vision. And I told her, she laughed at me actually and said, you know what, Amanda, you are smoking something if you're doing this, because I've sold Mary Kay before and it was awful. I said, this is not like that. I promise. You don't have to have parties, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I said, well, I'm going to wave at you in my Lexus if you don't do this with me. And she's like, okay, what do I do? I said, I don't really know. Just watch this video and we're going to figure it out. And in the beginning, it was really funny because the first 4 months, I went Ruby in like 4.5 months, and people would say, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, I don't know. I'm just doing what they tell me to do. I don't know. And I'm proof you don't have to know what you're doing to be successful. You just have to do the simple stuff that your upline tells you to do. And that's how it works.
I think I have heard, I don't know what I did. I just did whatever my upline told me to do on just about every single one of these. And what that tells me is, and you're on Julia Carty, under Julia Carty, and we were talking about this the other day, that she said, my team's competitive, but they're also duplicating. She's like, I did what you told Ellen to do, told Angie to do. I told the girls to do, they told their people to do. And she's right. I mean, I think you're my level 6, 5 or 6. And I mean, the fact that it's duplicated down, and that I did what Rosalind, Celeste, and Jenny told me to do. And so if you think about the level of duplication there is huge. And I love that so many people have said, I don't know what I did. I just did whatever she told me to do next. I mean, how many times do people message us and like, what do I do? And you're like, message some people. But I don't know what to say to them. Just tell them this. And when we script it for them, when we send it off and we tell them just voice message and say this, it's so simple. But I think we kind of, the good thing is you're self-talking yourself through those conversations. But so many of us will go, I mean, I don't even know what to say, so I'm not going to say anything. And you did a great job of saying, I don't know what I'm going to say, but she wants to hear from me. I just know she does. So I'll send it anyways. Amanda, thank you so much. For everyone listening to this call, and if you have stayed with us for this long, or if you've gotten to this point in the recording, I just want you to know that you have heard from a diverse number of people, different numbers of kids, different states. I think we have Florida, Minnesota, Alabama, DC, Ohio, Texas, all covered. I may have missed one. Georgia, South Carolina. So quite a few different states all represented today. Different, stages of life, kids at different ages. I think majority of people have lap children that somehow still manage to crawl themselves all over us while working. Some did it while working professional jobs. Some did it while being stay-at-home moms and trying to juggle that schedule. But one thing I heard all the way through was determination, drive, vision. Even when the vision was a little cloudy and they weren't quite sure what it looked like to succeed with this company, they knew that something was possible. There was something bigger and better, a goal outside of themselves. We talked about it at church today, just that having an eternal perspective on what this business can do and has the ability to do. I just think that if you are in this business with us, I want you to have belief that you can do it. And you heard a lot of people today say they doubted themselves at certain points. And doubting ourselves isn't the end of the world, but I definitely think that when you get back to some positive self-talk, it makes a world of difference. So listen to this as many times as you want to. Follow these girls on Facebook if you want to. You can follow anybody. You don't have to friend them. You can just follow them and just watch what they do. Watch what they post, watch what they talk about, and follow them on Instagram if you want to. I know a lot of them are on there. And they share their lives. They share the joys. They share the funny things. They just share life. And Plexus happens to be a part of their lives that they share. They definitely don't cram it down throats, but they just share it within their day-to-day. I love watching them. I love watching their posts. I love watching their team pages where they get to motivate their teams. I love watching them get on and do videos and train. I love watching them succeed. And I promise everybody on our team can be where they are. My husband and I talked about this today. He said, I don't think everyone can do it. I'm like, everyone has the ability to do it. Everyone has the same tools to do it, the same products. Some people have a bigger network, some people have a smaller network. And that doesn't even matter. I think when you have drive, when you have determination, when you have consistency, when you do the things that you're supposed to do on a daily basis, not only will you see a difference when you're taking the products like that, but you'll see a difference when you work the business like that. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope it encouraged you. and I hope you have a great night.